The apartment building on the city's edge stood for nearly a century. It was originally a grand residence for a wealthy family, Charles Montgomery and his wife, complete with opulent furnishings and a sprawling layout. However, as the city evolved and the family's fortune dwindled, the once grand home was divided into smaller apartments and eventually became a dilapidated shell of its former self. Mystery had always surrounded the small, windowless room at the end of the hallway. Originally, it had been a private study for Montgomery, a reclusive industrialist with a deep fascination for the occult. Montgomery was known for his eccentricities and obsessive interests, including an obsession with dark rituals and forbidden knowledge. Arcane symbols and strange artifacts adorned the room, which boasted soundproofed walls and a reinforced metal door to ensure complete isolation from the rest of the house. Montgomery performed a dark ritual to grant him eternal life in his quest for immortality and otherworldly power. However, the ritual went horrifically wrong. Instead of achieving his goal, Montgomery opened a gateway to a realm of darkness, trapping his soul in a liminal space between life and death. Montgomery's physical form underwent a twist and corruption, transforming into a malevolent entity that remained confined to the room. When Montgomery died under mysterious circumstances in the 1930s, his body was found in a grotesque state, and the room was sealed off and left untouched. The sale of the house and its transformation into an apartment building led to the room's dark history fading into an urban legend. Tenants reported odd noises and a chilling presence, but the landlord always dismissed these claims, keeping the room locked and unexplored. When Alex's family moved into the apartment, they were unaware of the room's sinister past. Alex, curious about the locked room, eventually managed to open it one night while his mother was working late. Inside, he found an old-fashioned mirror, its surface dusty and cracked. The mirror was a conduit for Montgomery's malevolent influence, allowing the corrupted spirit to interact with the living world. The malevolent presence of Montgomery's corrupted spirit drew Alex towards the mirror. The reflection in the mirror was not of Alex, but rather of an empty room with the door closed. Alex turned to check behind him, but the door was still open. The shadowy Montgomery figure, twisted and monstrous, was visible in the mirror, slowly moving closer. Terror gripped Alex as he tried to scream, but no sound escaped his lips. In reflection, the figure stepped into the room. Its presence was heavy and oppressive. The mirror began to ripple, and Montgomery's grotesque form emerged, dripping with thick, black ooze. The entity was a grotesque amalgamation of dark energies and Montgomery's own corrupted essence. Before Alex could react, Montgomery lunged at him, his icy cold hands like frozen iron clamped around Alex's throat with terrifying strength. Alex clawed at the creature's decaying flesh, but his fingers only sank in, the stench of rot overwhelming him. Montgomery lifted Alex off the ground, slamming him into the wall with a bone-shattering force. Alex's vision blurred as the impact knocked the air out of him. Blood dripped from his nose and mouth, and he could feel his ribs cracking under Montgomery's grip. The pain was excruciating, but it was nothing compared to what came next. With a sickening crunch, Montgomery's fingers dug into Alex's chest, tearing through skin and bone. Montgomery cut short his scream as he ripped his ribcage open, revealing his beating heart. Blood sprayed across the room, and Montgomery's grin widened as he reached into Alex's chest, pulling out his heart and devouring it. Alex's vision darkened as his life drained away, and the world faded to black. The last thing he saw was Montgomery's reflection in the mirror, his eyes glowing with a sinister light as he devoured Alex's heart. The police arrived the next morning after Alex's mother returned home to find the apartment eerily silent. When they broke down the door to the small, windowless room, they found Alex's lifeless body, his chest brutally torn open, blood splattered across the walls. They found the mirror shattered and pieces of glass scattered across the floor. Despite an extensive investigation, the police could never figure out what had happened that night. There were no signs of forced entry, no fingerprints, nothing to explain the horrific scene. Eventually, they closed the case as unsolved, leaving more questions than answers. They sealed the apartment forever, deeming it too disturbing for anyone to live in. Alex's mother, unable to cope with the loss and the unanswered questions, slowly lost her sanity. Last seen wandering the city streets, she mumbled incoherently about a room that shouldn't exist, in a mirror that revealed things no one should ever see.